Hello there, welcome and good morning. My name is Madison Miller and I'm the marketing coordinator here at the Business Software Center. Every other week we provide coffee talks in the mornings at 10:30 every other Friday. And in today's session, we are going to go over automation, the key to scalability. So before I begin the presentation, I'd just like to thank everyone for joining us today. If you would like to communicate with us in any way, please feel free to use the hashtag CoffeeTalkTBSC. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Feel free to sign up to our mailing list to receive more invites at businesssoftwarecenter.com/events. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to put them over in at the questions and answers section on the right-hand side of the screen, and I will be sure to answer your questions throughout the presentation. So, scalability, what exactly is that? Businesses with scalability often try to grow without being hampered by their current structure or their current resources. So, and it also increases production. So, if you're looking to scale your business, oftentimes that requires automating business practices. And so today we're going to be talking about BPA, or Business Practice Optimization, in order to scale your business up and get it ready to rumble. So first and foremost, I would like to talk about BPA with this Bill Gates quote. It says, "The first rule of any technology used in a business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency." Now, I think that's really important. So if you get a really good product that fully automates something for you, your company's definitely going to feel it. Not only will your employees maybe feel less stressed out, but they'll certainly feel that there's more time available to them. Perhaps your clients at the end of the production line feel that they're getting their product a lot faster or easier. So an example of that would be perhaps automating, if you're an online, like it may be an e-commerce business, and rather than taking orders manually, you have a process in which does it for you automatically. You can certainly feel that it's a lot easier when the computer can process all this for you rather than you doing it yourself. Now, the second part of the quote says, "The second is that automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency." So I think this is another valid point. Sometimes that when you try to go automate specific parts of your business, it turns out, well, maybe this is better if it remains manual. Maybe it's better if we do have people around. And I think an example of that would be, when you go to the grocery store, you see they have the cashiers, but then they also have the self-checkout. A lot of people nowadays really want that human interaction and really look forward to having a casual chat with a cashier. Maybe they're lonely, especially with the current pandemic right now. A lot of us are in self-isolation, so seeing a nice smiling face would be more productive in the long run and make customers want to come back to the store. At the same time, though, this might not be an inefficient process, because those who are really concerned about interacting with the public in this current climate, they have the ability to use those self-checkouts. So, I mean, it's really up to interpretation, of course, as far as that example goes, but I really hope that you understand what I'm trying to say, that automation could either magnify the inefficiency or magnify the efficiency. So I think this is a really powerful quote by Bill Gates. Sometimes it is a matter of trial and error, but for what I'm about to introduce you to with our software automation, I would say that definitely helps with the efficiency. So I would like to make a bold statement here by saying manual processes are slowly killing your business. You can see by the graphic here, the manual process, this poor guy is very stressed out, overworked, whereas with the automated process, he's much more relaxed, relying on the computer to help him out to get his job done throughout the day. Now, this is obviously more extreme example of how automation can help your business, but it does paint a really nice picture. There are so many opportunities out there for you and your company overall if you start automating your business practices. So what exactly is the manual process? Well, manual process often is repetitive tasks. It's linked to decrease in customer satisfaction. I would say that's because of making the process longer, taking up a lot more time. Obviously, the links to the chain take longer to go through if it's a manual process. It has the ability to limit the revenue growth. That's obviously due to customer satisfaction. Nobody really wants to purchase anything from you if everything takes forever. Not only does it take forever, but it's taking up your employees' time by doing these manual tasks. And also it's prone to human error or inconsistency, which is not good. So say, for instance, you are trying to sell, let's see, you're trying to sell something online and you have the items in stock, but for whatever reason, you have to manually put into the computer how many items, the quantity, etc., rather than having this automation automatically, when you get the shipment in, it just automatically updates onto your website. It would mean that customers, when they come to your website, they see, oh, it's out of stock, but in actuality, you just got a new shipment in and it's not out of stock at all. So you're losing customers and money in the meantime. So what is the solution for you with your manual processes? Well, I would say, obviously, try to automate your business. Now, what is business practice automation? I have gone over this briefly, but essentially it's using technology to perform tasks. It's replacing the manual effort. It also streamlines the process. So usually with these automatic business practices, what happens is these are tested, tried and true practices, and they can fit really easily into your company because they're kind of packaged up and ready to go. They know exactly what needs to be done in order to get you the results you need as far as automation goes, because it's not just your business that is suffering with the manual process. This is a global issue, so a lot of this automation is already streamlined for you and can make your business streamlined as well. So BPA also increases the efficiency. Likewise, it minimizes costs. So for instance, if an employee has to work overtime just to validate some reports, obviously with BPA, it could take away the hassle of the employee working overtime to make sure that this gets done. And then finally, BPA does increase employee satisfaction. So I wanted to include some more examples of BPA. Typically with BPA, it involves replacing things that are time and resource sensitive. It also takes pressure off the goods to market. And it also helps by remaining price competitive. So I would say for that, when you're using automation, typically it does reduce the amount of cost that your business puts into something. So you are saving money in the long run with that. But at the same time, you have the ability to cut costs to your end user goods. And so you can remain price competitive in the market. So I would say a really nice example of BPA that is an everyday example, we all would know this one. Say you are going to the bank and you are trying to get approved for an auto loan. And so rather than doing a manual effort of filling out all this paperwork, sending the paperwork off, getting it approved somewhere else, waiting a few weeks, the loan process is a lot quicker than that. What it does is, now if you go to the bank, everything is automated. So it's automated process, automated approval, and it's automated decision making. So you'll essentially know within a few minutes whether or not you qualify for this auto loan. Same thing you see with signing up for any kind of loan like that. For instance, getting on a new, contract at a cell phone establishment would be another example. Give them all your details, see if you qualify, and you'll know right then and there whether or not you're approved for this. So that's just an everyday example of BPA. So where exactly does BPA fit into the bigger picture of your business? I would say if you're looking into automizing your business, look at your workflows, your tasks and anywhere that human intervention is not necessary. So anything that you think could be fully automated would be something that you should probably automate. Now, obviously, if you would need help with any of the BPA stuff, here at the Business Software Center, we certainly help with software, and I will get into that very shortly. So what IT business processes should you automate? Well, I mean, there's a lot that you can consider, but for the purposes of this presentation, we are going to look at software. Here at TBSC, we believe an often overlooked area is software management, and we have this proven based off of some of the research we conducted in 2019. There's a lot of businesses who are just not tracking their SaaS applications, and it's becoming a very big problem because they're paying for licenses they're not using, which in the long run is costing their businesses big. So I would say the benefits of software management automation would be reducing busy work. It's huge. In the IT departments, you could really reduce the amount of busy work they have if you just automate their software. You know, these IT guys already have a lot on their plates, and it would be beneficial for them if they have more automation to work with. Likewise, you can increase the productivity, so you can give your IT department more time for other tasks. You know, maybe they're working on something security-wise. Why not let them focus on the important thing of security, where software in the background can be running and automating their other processes? As I mentioned before, BPA does streamline processes. That's the same for software management automation. It maintains quality, and I like that, especially when it comes to running on software like Microsoft, who conducts audits. So you remain compliant if you automate your processes, because your software will know whether you are in compliance or not. As I said before, BPA is always cost efficient, so you would definitely be able to see the impacts of how much you're spending versus how much you're saving through software management automation. And then also it controls your SaaS, and that's really important as well. Not only does it control it through the audits process, but it also improves your knowledge of what you're currently using versus what you're not using. So you can really get a detailed view of what's going on with your software without the hassle of digging into every computer or every user and asking them questions. I mean, this really streamlines the process. It just takes away all the energy and effort that goes into managing software. So I think a question you should ask yourself is, should I automate my software management? If you are still hesitant on which software management practices should be automated, consider asking yourself these questions. And so I've compiled a list of questions here that I believe would be really beneficial. Try asking yourself these. So the first question I have is, are there high volume tasks? Is there a lot coming in at one time? Is there a lot going on at once? Is there a lot of data I need to track? Well, if there are a lot of high volume tasks, perhaps BPA is the thing for you. Now, how many employees does it take to perform these tasks? Does it take 2? Does it take 3? Does it take a long time for an employee to do something? How many employees does it take? Would it be greatly beneficial if we automated this process for employees? Is this task time sensitive? This is a big one, especially if you have deadlines. You know, if you work in advertising, for instance, this is huge. You have a lot of deadlines to ensure that ad campaigns start on time. Why not automate some processes there to ensure everything is good to go? Number 4, does this task have a significant impact on other processes and systems? So, for instance, if you are doing a manual process and it impacts other processes down the workflow or down the chain, will it impact those other processes, whether it's from time, whether it's from inaccurate data, etc. You know, ask yourself, will this impact things down the line? Could this save us in the long run and make this chain shorter? 5, are you in need of remaining software compliant? So this is about the auditing process. You know, a lot of software nowadays does do auditing. It doesn't matter if you're on the cloud or not. Software auditing still happens, and it's even in your contracts that They have the ability to audit your business, I think on a yearly basis, depending on which companies you are getting your licenses from. But this is never a good thing when you get audited, because there's always that higher risk of paying fines, or worst case scenario, doing the going to court, and that's never fun to do. So this helps you stay up to date with what's going on and completely avoid any auditing chaos that might happen. Number 6, can this be done more efficiently through automation? You know, this is pretty much the biggest question, I think, of them all. Could this be done more efficiently through automation? I would say if you answered yes to any of these questions, we would recommend getting started on automating your software asset management. So a way that what you can consider before automating is establishing goals. So our advice is to get at least 95% usage on your software. And so by doing that, it limits unnecessary tasks, it automates your everyday reports, and it can even integrate applications. So an example of that would be if you're using Microsoft Teams, perhaps your company usage is at 50%, and of course we can help you figure that out. But you know, the main goal is to get, you know, between 95 and 100%. You want to actually be using what you're paying for. And so with Microsoft Teams, what's really nice is if you have a large sales department and they use cold calling techniques, etc., perhaps what you can do is get VoIP, and that automatically can be integrated into your Microsoft Teams app. And so what you're doing is you're making all your schedules and meetings through Microsoft Teams. It's integrated with VoIP, so you don't have to go to 2 different places to organize any of these sales calls. Everything is done through one application. And by doing that, you're increasing your Teams usage, which means you're actually using the licenses you're paying for. Now, another thing to consider before automating is knowledge is power. There might be pros and cons to what you discover whenever you are looking at what software management is going on in your business. So you might figure out that somebody is probably installing, this would be an example, somebody is over installing their applications and they're on maybe 10 devices rather than the 5 Microsoft allocates. So obviously knowledge is power in this case, because the pro is you can stop that user, you can contact that user and let them know, hey, you're over installed. But obviously the con is you were in that software, you were not remaining software compliant for those few months or however long it was that the employee was doing this, and that really put your company at risk. And so another thing to consider before automating is thinking in the long term. I think this is really valuable. In the long term, you want to be able to save money, you want to increase your employee satisfaction, you want to remain time efficient, you want to remain cost effective. There's so many different goals that reach out into the long term, and it's important to think about that when making a choice to switch to software automation. And what's really nice about software automation is it is constantly changing and keeping up with the trends. So if you end up investing in a software automation tool, what's really nice is it will certainly come up with its own updates, and especially if it's on the cloud, you'll get these updates automatically. And I think that's another thing that's important to consider, is whether or not it's easy to use. Okay, so easy SaaS automation. So here at TBSC, we have our product called Smarter SaaS, and this product is pretty much fully automatic. It provides cost-saving analysis, license reharvesting, detailed reports, and it captures data in real time. So if you are running on SaaS subscriptions in any way, shape, or form, whether that's Microsoft, Adobe, Salesforce, etc., we can help monitor over 40 applications. And so what I'm going to do is show you a demo of our Smarter SaaS product, but I'm going to focus on Microsoft. So let me just go ahead and switch my screen over here. All right, so my screen should be showing you the current dashboard that we have for Smarter SaaS for Microsoft 365. And so as I said, most of this is automatic. So what it does is it pulls data from the Azure tenancy, and it can backtrack, you can insert actually how long you want it to look at the data. So if you want to look 6 months ago, 3 months ago, anything like that, we can pull that data for you relatively automatically. Doesn't take too long to do. And here you have different prices of where you can reharvest your software and save, where you can optimize your software and save, and where surplus is and how much you can save with that. Now this is dummy data, so I apologize for there being no savings to date. Obviously, there hasn't been a savings to date because this is dummy data, but ideally what you could see here is if you use our product month to month, you'll start to see this grow and grow and grow. So the first thing I would like to introduce is this reharvesting feature. This is a new feature that we've added to our Smarter SaaS. And what's really nice is you can fully automate the reharvesting of licenses. So an example of that would be, say for instance, somebody isn't using their licenses, and you can see they've been inactive for 60 days. And you're wondering, okay, well, exactly why is it they've been inactive? Here you can see they've been inactive OneDrive, Skype for Business, etc. Why have they been inactive? Is it because they left the company? Is it because they're on vacation? What's really going on? What you can do is send an email to the users just by clicking this link here. And so you just click the link, and then what happens is the user will be sent an email. And let me see if I have it pop up on my screen. I might have to switch. So essentially what happens is when you go to Reharvest, you'll be sent an email. So let me just switch my screen here and show you what the email looks like. Okay. So you'll be sent an email, and as you can see here, it's from Microsoft Power Apps, and it's Office 365 license confirmation. So it's saying, hello, Madison Miller. We've observed that you're not using your license from Office 365 in the past 90 days. Now, like as I said, you can change that from 60 to 30, however long you want. Please confirm if you still want to use this license by clicking on the link. And so what you have to do is click on that link to basically say you are still using the license. And if you don't receive confirmation, obviously you can go ahead and reharvest that software. So it's a really nice automatic task for your IT department. They're not going from person to person and analyzing their usage. The software does it automatically for you. And then also the email process and the communication is a lot easier as well. So let me just go ahead and go back to the Smarter SaaS demo. Sorry, sometimes it just takes a while for my computer to switch between dashboards. Okay, so we're going to go back to the dashboard, and you can see that there's the optimization feature as well. And what's really nice about this optimization feature is that it shows, once again, who's active, who's inactive, and how to optimize your licenses. So an example would be if you're using an E3 license and you're not using all the applications. A way to optimize your usage is two ways. One, start using all of the applications that are included with the E3, or reduce to an E1 license that has less applications on it. I would say the best thing to do is actually use what you're paying for. I mean, you might as well get the training for those applications. So I would say a really big example of this would be using Microsoft Teams. A lot of companies still are on Skype for Business, but that is retiring. I mean, Skype is just outdated anyways, and Microsoft is trying to encourage Teams usage. So if you have half of your team working on Teams and the other half working on Skype, that's completely inefficient. So our software helps show you who's using what, and you can ask those tough questions. Well, why exactly aren't they using that particular thing? And rather than taking them down to an E1 license that has fewer application options, it's optimal to get training. And of course, Microsoft offers all of this training for free, whether it's through their YouTube channel or you can contact them directly. And now Surplus is another really interesting feature that we have for Smarter SaaS. Essentially what Surplus does is it shows you how many licenses you are in surplus. So you are paying for a license that isn't deployed and isn't being used. So in this case, there's only one license, but in a lot of trials that we have done, a lot of free trials we've done for businesses, we see that they have plenty of licenses that aren't deployed yet. And so how we handle that is we'll ask the questions of, okay, well, are you planning on deploying this item? Why exactly did you purchase it? What's the plan for this? And if they didn't realize that they purchased it, or maybe the person has left the company and they no longer need it, then they're able to recycle this surplus and possibly reallocate the license to somebody else. So let's just go ahead and look at Microsoft Teams. I'm just clicking on the left-hand side of the screen. So what's really nice here is that you can see all the different data we have for Microsoft Teams. You can see the active user count, the inactive user count, and this is really low. This is not good at all. You can see here with this chart, a lot of the employees are using the messengers, but they're really not using the calls or messaging, meeting counts. So perhaps they're making meetings on Zoom. Perhaps they're using some other application that is scheduling meetings for them, or maybe they're doing it in a manual process. Like I said, it's just easier to do this all from one place. And if you're already paying for that Microsoft license, why not use Teams? And then one of the final things I wanted to mention before the end of this coffee talk is the compliance feature that we have. Now, I mentioned before that auditing is a really big issue that businesses can face. I mean, it's a huge issue if you are not fully aware of what licenses you've purchased versus what license you're using, and you end up being non-compliant, because that means with these audits that you'll end up having to pay for fines, or worst case scenario, do the whole court thing, which is never good. So with our Smarter SaaS, you can see what devices are installed, what applications are installed on what devices. And with green, that means good to go. So that means less than 5, which is typical for Microsoft licenses. You can only install up to 5 devices. Yellow is saying, hey, slow down, you're already at those 5 licenses, just be a little careful. And red, of course, is really not good at all. So you can see that this user has over 11 installs. And so this is whenever you have to reach out to that specific employee and see exactly why they've installed on 11 devices, and really get that sorted for your business. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back to my presentation and just really, let's see here. Okay. So yeah, as I mentioned before, we do offer a free trial, and we've had other businesses definitely use this tool to get a SaaS health check, just analyze where exactly they are with their software. So we encourage you to set up this free trial. It's really easy to do. It's for 14 days. You'll have access to Smarter SaaS for 365. It is a top cloud software management tool that promotes optimization, as you've seen through the demo. And there's no credit card obligation or anything like that. You don't have to give us those details. So I would say if you're interested in a free trial, please sign up at businesssoftwarecenter.com/free trial. It's really easy to do. We can have it installed for you within 15 minutes. So yeah, I would say definitely get in contact with us if you are interested in that free trial. And I would like to end the coffee talk by saying thank you so much. We do these coffee talks every other Friday. So our next coffee talk is software license compliance versus optimization. What's the difference? And you can sign up for this on our website as well. So I would like to just open up the sidebar here, the questions and answers, and see if there's any questions coming in. So I do have a question. They're asking, what is another real world example of automizing manual tasks? Well, okay, that's an interesting question, just because I'm in the software headspace right now. But I guess an example would be factories. You know, once something people would do manually is now being replaced by having machines do it. And what's really nice about that is it reduces injury risk. It reduces strain on the employee by automating those processes. A fun example is I was seeing about petrol stations, how they have automatic petrol stations now that you don't even have to get out of your car to get petrol. So, I mean, that's another easy way of automating a manual task. Now, as far as maybe real world business examples, of course, you can automate file transfers. So if you need to share something with a large group of people, for instance, you can just use Teams for that. You can upload it and it's accessible by everyone and everyone can edit it. So I would say that's a really good example of BPA in business. All right, so at this time, I don't see any additional questions coming in, but I would like to thank everyone so much for joining. I hope you learned something new. Like I said, our next meeting is October 16th. And if you would like to sign up, feel free to do so on our website. And if you need to get in contact with me, feel free to use the hashtag CoffeeTalkTBSC on our social media, and I'll be sure to find you and help you out with any questions you may have. Thank you again for joining and have a great day. Bye-bye.